Welcome to another episode of Sim Sundays podcast. This week, I'm actually remote out here in Las Vegas, which is supposed to be sunny, but it's actually been kind of abysmal weather for me. Tom, how have things been for you, sir?
Good. Well, we're still in Newcastle, and the weather is abysmal, which is how it's meant to be. So all's good.
Hey, well, we're switching into the sunnier seasons to where it's a little harder for us sim racers to sit in a rig and just kind of look outside and go, "Oh, it's beautiful out there." But this week you had actually a pretty cool guest on the show that you had to have a conversation with. Who did you have this week?
So this week we had Jessica Bull, who is a bit of a legend when it comes to league racing and especially league commentary in the F1 circles. So she's commentated for PSGL, WR, and One Hub Racing, and she's also the founder of One Hub Racing.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was great to chat to her about the league racing side of things. We've had a lot of esports drivers on, so it was nice to speak to somebody who's kind of very involved in our world.
Very cool. Well, I'm very excited to hear the episode. So everyone else, enjoy watching or listening, whichever platform you choose.
Okay, well, Jess, welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Sim Sundays. It's great to have you on the show.
Hey, it's great. It's great to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Yeah, not at all. And I understand that you're celebrating. As literally yesterday, you announced that you are part of the commentary team for PSGL season 33.
Yes, I have. I've been a part of the PSGL commentary team since season 26, and I've been managing the commentary team for quite a bit since I've been season 29 and 30, and this will be my third season commentating on the top tier on PlayStation, and it's a league that I've joined in the lockdown phase in 2020, and I didn't want to leave, so I'm carrying on doing it.
Nice. I noticed that you said that you've been managing the commentary team. Now, that sounds like a different set of skills is required to manage a group of commentators than it is to just commentate yourself. How is it managing commentators? Because there's a lot of tiers, right? There must be a lot of commentators that you're coordinating there.
Yes, because there used to be a time where there was just one platform. I started at PSGL with just on the PlayStation back in 2020, and then towards the start of 2021, that's when they started to bring the PC side, and they got the likes of George Morgan and Jack Canaan commentating for them, and they got lots of like esports drivers in there. So it's pretty much growth from strength to strength, and they kind of saw how the PC side was growing, so they wanted to bring more tiers in on the PC side. So that kind of meant people managing more commentators, and it got quite hard for Connor, who owns PSGL, to manage. So he hired someone else to begin with, and then he couldn't do it. So Connor was looking for a head of commentary, and I stepped up because I did had some experience at One Hub Racing, which is a league that I own currently as well, as a head of comms as well. And Connor was like, "Yeah, you're in," without a deep on interview or anything. Nice. So that was nice. The hardest thing, though, is the amount of tiers I have to manage in terms of commentary and pleasing everybody, because you don't have to just manage yourself, because I'm obviously commentating as well. I'm doing my own tier. I'm doing my own thing. You also got to make sure everyone else is doing okay each week. They got the right assets. They got mentioning the right sponsors. They're not saying anything that they shouldn't be saying, which could be bad for the reputation of PSGL and stuff like that. So I think this time we've got trying to remember, we've got 6 PC tiers which are streamed, and then we've got around about 9 this season which are on PlayStation, which is streamed. Put those together, there's quite a lot for me to manage. So it's just about maintaining the standard, making sure they're all okay, and also about the welfare of the commentators, really, because if they're struggling a little bit, I could just go to them and see what's wrong and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, given how much commentary you've done and how much league racing that you've seen, I imagine they're coming to you quite a lot for advice, right?
Yeah, they are, and there's many different advice that I usually give them when I start commentary, and usually the first thing that I advise them to do is to make sure they're prepared for anything they do. I think it's paramount for any stream that you know about the drivers. You know about the drivers that are commentating in that tier. So from my personal experience, because obviously I want to give advice about my personal experience as well, I started to produce a spreadsheet for every commentary I do, and it's usually 3 commentaries a week that I do. So I have a spreadsheet of the drivers, what team they're in, and there's usually like a list of questions that I ask at the beginning of the season, like, where were you last season? What are your expectations and who your biggest rivals are, and also the challenges and what tracks and stuff. So that's kind of like a good base to work upon, and then we can look back on it at one point of the season, say, hey, we're at a track that this person doesn't like, for example. We'll be interested to see how well they do. And I also have the strategy in there as well, so it gives me an idea of what strategies the drivers will be racing on as well, and also facts about the track, because there's been times where we had to either restart a lobby due to desync or connection issues or something like that, and you always have to find something to talk about when there's dead air, and it is very, very hard. So I think without that preparation, when you have moments of dead air like that, you're going to be sat like, I don't know what to do next. So the number one is preparation, and if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail, basically.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess like desync issues and lobbies crashing is the sim racing's version of a red flag or waiting for the rain to stop, right? How have you dealt with F1 22? Because it's had its challenges, right?
It has. I think a lot of people seem to find a lack of motivation, I think, for F1 22. I think in particular the drivers, but also the commentators as well, because for the leagues that I manage the commentators in, there's been some tiers where it's hard to find commentators at the moment due to the lack of interest for some people. But the amount of commentators that we do have, they are interested and they want to make sure that they bring out the best in the racing. And most people are here because they want to see good racing. But there are some drivers that just are not enjoying it at all. We got less PC tiers than we've had in the last few seasons because of that, because they're losing that motivation. And I think it's due to the amount of bugs that are in F1 22 at the moment. They are hopefully fixing them for the next game, but I think there's some that just keep coming in time and time again that few people are a bit frustrated about. And it gets annoying as well as a viewer and as a commentator. If you see desync whilst you're streaming, you got to maintain that professional outlet, because sometimes I want to rant at the game or something like that, but I can't because have that sense of authority as a viewer. I had to keep on going and be professional and stuff. So I think it's a shame, because I think the last few games, I think F1 2020 was a lot better. I think more people were interested in the game a lot more. F1 2021 was okay as well, but I think
it definitely seems more stable.
Yeah, I think a lot more people, I think, seem to be disinterested. I think the ones I've spoken to early on, they go on to like sort of iRacing or ACC or stuff like that. But I think there's a lot of my friends that still do it because we just love to race. We don't care if there's we still care if there's bugs, but we just love to race because there's nothing else to race on. If we race on an older game, it's like inaccurate, so we still race. And again, the same for me. There's nothing else to commentate for me because I specialize in F1, and I still like to keep going in that sense. But it has had its challenges. I had lost my motivation myself in the last couple of months, but sort of I gained it back, I think, at the start of this year. I don't know why. Maybe because obviously it was a new season and a lot of a new year and a lot of stuff that could be on the pipeline.
So what would you like to see different then, other than the obvious, in terms of it just kind of, let's take we all want it to work as given. What else do you think you want to see more of or better in F1 2023?
Well, I think from a commentator's perspective, the fact that I hope that we can get to see like the tyre wear side of things, because without that sort of element, you're not able to see, this person's on puncture territory, their tyres are going to die at any moment or something like that. And we can only see that if there's like someone that's coded a nice program externally, which has got this nice telemetry and all that, which we use for certain leagues, but there's people that don't have the money to pay to external providers to get that telemetry. So they don't have that luxury of seeing the tyre wear and stuff. So it'll be nice to see from a spectator. I think the spectator mode needs to have a bit of a overhaul because it hasn't changed much. I think F1 2020 it hasn't changed that much at all. But I think from a driver's perspective and as a league perspective as well, able to see track the penalties and add penalties if necessary in game post race as well. Because there's some stupid penalties that people get. There was one I was commentating the other day where they got like a 5-place grid penalty when they were under AI and the qualifying was finished. So we had to restart it for that reason. It was ridiculous. So it will be nice to get that. It would be nice to get that removed, and the ability to click a button to restart a lobby.
Yeah. I mean, that would be really nice. Or ideally, we wouldn't need to restart lobbies. But you're right. That would be nice, just in case we did.
Yeah.
So I noticed on your Twitter then that you've got head of commentary at Visceral Racing, One Hub Racing, PSGL, and then it also says you're an EA and Codemasters content creator, part of the EA Creators Network. What does that involve?
Well, it's a long story. I have started I joined the EA Creator Network in December of 2021, and this guy from Codemasters, James, who is a very lovely guy from Codemasters, approached me, wanted to do some stuff for me to do some stuff for Grid. So I saw his tweet. It was like, we're looking for more content creators to join the Creator Network to be a part of Grid. So I showed him his stuff. I showed him what my main content was, because I didn't want to just do commentary. I wanted to share my outlet outside of that as well, to get more people into the games. And I think a few hours later, James was like, we like your stuff, you're in. And it's basically trying out stuff which is unreleased to the public yet and getting feedback. And that is very, very good to give people. It's sort of like a marketing platform as well for people, my viewers, to see actually this is coming out soon. If you want to buy this, check this out as well. And we were able to see preview builds of the F1 22 as well, see the new like hybrid cars before everybody else, try out certain aspects of the game and showed what we like and dislike and stuff like that. And we get to collaborate with different content creators. We get to provide feedback to the likes of Cody's for any changes, and if there's anyone in our community that wants to suggest anything, we can pass it on their behalf. And it's generally a nice network to be in. There's people in here like Tim McMurdoch, Araver, and Dirt Chocolate in there as well, and there's quite a few more creators that have applied recently and joined recently, and it's kind of hard to get into. You got to have a established following on what either like Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, or Twitch to join in network in the first place. I think without that following I had as a commentator and my following on Twitter or YouTube or whatever, I don't think I would have had the chance to join the EA Creator Network. And it's just nice to get more people viewing my content, also helped shape the F1 games as well as shape maybe for future F1 games to come. Yeah, obviously I can't say too much about obviously the games in the future, but they do commonly ask us for any feedback on certain features, and we have trialed out certain things before it got released, like the Grid Legends DLC. A few that were out recently, we were trialing it out and see what we liked and disliked and stuff like that. And there's certain opportunities that we get with them. There was a Daniel Ricciardo challenge where we had to do a hot lap. See if you can beat Daniel Ricciardo's hot lap time, which was really, really fun to do. I was quite slow, but it was just nice, and I got paid for that opportunity as well, which was good. And I also got to be a part of the Creator Race Off as well in July in London, which was a last minute thing. I only found out a few days before, so I only had a few days to book hotel and book travel and stuff. But I actually got to meet some of the creators that inspired me when I first started content creating and commentating, and race with them face to face. And it's just nice to get those opportunities. I think I feel lucky to be a part of that, really, and help shape what's to come as well. And it's just nice if you see what's being put into like patches and stuff, that you feel like you're being listened to as a creator for some of these things.
So I noticed that you used to stream quite a lot on Twitch, and actually you had loads and loads of followers on Twitch, and then you seemed to make a move across to YouTube, and obviously it's been growing slowly since the move. What was the reason for going from Twitch to YouTube?
I think the main reason is the amount of commentary commitments that I have already, that I've already streamed anyway, and the amount of races I do. It's just finding that creative freedom to put out a stream, find 2 hours of my already busy schedule to go and stream something on my own accord. I usually like to stream, like if there's like a new F1 build or something like that. If Cody says it's your chance to stream like maybe the preview build of the F1 game, I would do that. But I think the main move for YouTube is because I can pretty much edit the content. If I make a mistake, for example, like I say things wrong, or I'll blabble on about a particular topic for a long period of time, I could just edit it out and make it into something more appealing as well. So I think I used to stream where my commentary commitments were quite low when I was commentating for smaller leagues, but now I've obviously got like management responsibilities at PSGL and One Hub and stuff like that. I just don't have the time to. I wish I had the time to stream on Twitch. I also got a full-time job as well, working in communication. So I just don't have the time to fit Twitch and anything else into my busy schedule. I wish we all had a infinite amount of time, but we don't. I think in the future I would like to do at Twitch again, because I spent quite a few years building up my followers and doing some really good My Team streams, some open lobbies and stuff like that. But I'm just more focused on the commentary side and just racing with friends at the moment. And obviously since joining the Creator Network, I've been more inclined to do YouTube, and I am starting to do a bit more TikTok as well, because that's growing and I kind of want to grow as well. So yeah, I think it's just the time really more than anything else.
So you commentate in the evenings and the weekends for PSGL, and when you're not commentating, you're communicating. So I was about to ask, what is it about commentating that you enjoy? But it sounds like communication is your thing.
It's about, I love being enthusiastic about a particular sport and sharing a passion on it as well, because I like to show to make people happy about certain things, and to make people want to watch back their races and make people watch back a certain event, for example, that's memorable. And I think communicating, I think, is a very important part of that. I used to obviously do some online radio back in the day as well, before I started sim racing and commentating. And I also did performing amateur dramatic theatre companies as well. And I think that was to share my confidence and passion about a certain topic on stage. And I thought, why not combine the two of them into the world of commentary, but online? And I think without that, obviously in the COVID world, I probably would have been done doing nothing, unfortunately. But yeah, it's just sharing the passion really of the sport to everybody else, and make people want to either buy the game or sign up to a particular league as well. Because the good thing about league racing is not just one tier where it's for the esports drivers, right? There's lots of tiers where you can get involved, which has you have lots of different skill levels. There's there's some leagues which has you can run all assists. There's some which has line only. There's some which has no assist at all. No matter what, you'll find a tier that's guaranteed to fit your skill level. And then if you're too fast, you get moved up a tier again. So yeah, I think it's about making it accessible for all and making sure that they are enjoying it as well, because I like it, and I want to get more new fans and existing fans as well to enjoy the sport as much as they can.
So where did your passion for motorsport come from originally?
Well, it was from very, very young. It was when I was 3 years old, and I saw my mum and dad watching a documentary on Damon Hill when he won the world title in '96, and it talked about his journey and stuff. And I was walking downstairs, and I saw a lot of car noises and a lot of people racing. And I was like, "Oh, that's fun!" So I thought I may as well watch some more motorsport and more Formula One. That's how I started with Formula One. And there was another video I was watching as well, the F1 97 Hungarian Grand Prix. I don't know why that video was taped, but I just got so fascinated about that race that I wanted to watch more of it. And I remember crying because Damon Hill dropped from the lead of the race to get second due to a hydraulic failure or something like that. Damon Hill was my favourite driver at the time, and that wanted me to watch it, I think, until this day, really. And when I started in the sim racing world, because of the fact that you can commentate on many different things like Project Cars and ACC, it got me to watch more motorsport in terms of Le Mans, endurance racing, GT racing, Formula E as well. So I think because of sim racing, I was able to get better equipped to watching more motorsport other than Formula One. And I particularly like the endurance scene at the moment as well, with iRacing as well. I like watching the WEC as well on Eurosport. So yeah, that's how I got into the motorsport side of things. And also my parents have been interested in motorsport since I was young as well. So it's just nice to have that support as well. We would watch it on a regular basis downstairs in the living room and share that same passion. And it's great to share the same passion as your family, I think.
Yeah, that is a pretty wholesome family activity there. So is there any ambition for you to go and commentate for anything else other than F1? You said it was your specialism and the only thing that you're commentating at the moment, but have you got any ambitions to branch out and try something new?
Well, I have tried a few things in the past. Again, I just haven't had the time to try it again. I would like to try it again if F1 seems to quiet down. I tried last year, a few years ago, I tried a bit of ACC commentary. I commentated a few of the SimGrid leagues back in 2021. I did some more female racers commentary for a few rounds, which was really fun. I was commentating for a bit for Apex Racing TV for a bit of the iRacing stuff, the Formula Renault and stuff. And towards the end of last year, I did a bit of an iRacing broadcast at Watkins Glen with Alex Goldschmidt, which you know, who's a very nice bloke, which I first got to know in SimGrid and stuff. But I still like to branch out now and again, but F1 is my main thing. But you got to stay, I think, tapped into the other sims as well, just in case like F1 has its problems. And it's just nice to improve your skills, not just in F1 but in other sim racing as well, because it helps you improve as a commentator.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so different, isn't it? F1's certainly got a very distinctive character. Like people are, the shorter tire life, I think, kind of adds an element to the race that you don't necessarily get in endurance racing, where most of those tires could do an hour, at least an hour and a half, if you're being sensible. And also, I think more people understand the strategy of F1, so it's immediately more accessible.
Yeah, I think because of that whole drive to survive thing, I think we're starting to get a few more fans from America. We're getting a few more fans from our current generation as well, which is very, very good. We're starting to get more females into the scene, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And that's all because of the current technology that we have, where the likes of obviously Netflix. So of course F1 is accessible because of the fact that it's just like you start on the hards, for example, you may go on the mediums until the end of the race and then go on softs. It is quite easy. Whereas endurance racing, you got to talk about a different parts of an endurance race. It may not be that simple sometimes, and you can't do it all in one sitting. It's definitely not for any motorsport. It takes a while to get used to it, what certain things does. That's why I think when I first watched endurance racing, I still came out of it thinking, oh, what does this do? And then the next race, I wanted to find out a bit more about what this thing does. And then the next race, I wanted to find out more about this as well. And it just takes time to find your interest, I think, in a certain sport. And then once you know a whole thing about a sport, then you start to get, I think, interested in it. And I think that is why I think having new fans is important, because that way that the broadcast can be tailored so everyone will know a bit about the sport. And I think I like the tech talks that they do on F1 TV as well, where they explain about certain parts of the car. And David Croft always tells you about full qualifying. They always tell you about the format every race, because you never know what who watches the broadcaster who is a new fan, especially the American fans we had recently, which is really great to see. And I like the fact that we have 3 new American races, I think, coming up this year. So it's great to see that we've gone a bit more global and not just a European setting, I think.
Yeah, 100%. It's interesting what you say there about kind of informing. I think it was Murray Walker that said that the job of a commentator is to inform and entertain. Yeah. I suppose that puts quite a lot of pressure on a commentator to understand everything that's going on around the track, both in the garage and in the car.
Yeah, it is quite difficult. When I started commentating, I never did any sim racing. I just relied on people's career modes and about the strategy in that way. And there were times where I did not prepare and it did not go well. But I then a year later, I decided to do a bit of sim racing to help with my commentary. I thought just do one season and then that's it. I would better understand the sim racing side of things. I can become better equipped as a commentator. And it did help me. It helped me about understand the tyres, the strategy, the track layout as well. What parts of the track were difficult and stuff like that. And it also helped me understand what goes on in the real world as well. Oh, actually, I know what it's like for the drivers because I raced on it in a sim, for example. But obviously, it's not going to be the same as the real thing. And then I think after that season of sim racing, I was like, you know what? That was actually a bit of fun. I want to do it again. And I was like, I'll do it for another season, see how it's like. And then, and I got the bug and I just keep doing it. And I've been doing it, I think, since 2019, 2020. And I just had that sense of community. It's just with every new F1 game, there's always a different in the handling, in the model, the difference in the strategy as well. And I think with me still racing, I think I can understand what the drivers feel like because I'm racing as well, even though I don't use the same assist, because most of the leads I commentate on, it's PSGO especially, they run no assist, and I still run assist because I'm rubbish, and I can't run no assist at all because I end up spinning every 5 seconds. But yeah, it was just nice to yeah, it was just nice to have that understanding as a commentator, because I experienced it myself as a sim racer, and when I watch F1 now, I can understand it more because obviously of the F1 game, and I feel I could be better equipped by watching the F1 stuff and then bring it back into my commentary as well. So yeah, I never thought that sim racing would have helped me as a commentator, but it did.
Do you think that's generally the case with commentators in the real world? Do you think that, generally speaking, commentators who have been racing drivers before are always better than a commentator who hasn't driven before?
Well, I got to bring back Murray Walker again, because Murray Walker didn't race, and he was able to bring such lovely Murrayisms that you know and love. And he knew everything about the drivers, he knew everything about the track, and he didn't have to race. But the lead commentator really doesn't need to know. Well, he needs to know a bit about the sport, of course, but doesn't need to know about the niche detail. And then you have someone who is the co-commentator, the colour commentator, as it were, who knows a lot about the sport, knows about the technical side of things, knows about the strategy. And that's what the likes of Martin Brundle comes in as well. He raced before as well. And I think one person that I liked as a co-commentator who I wish he would do more is one of my all-time favourite drivers, Jenson Button. When he filled in for Martin Brundle, he was just
great.
so excellent, because he had experience of the modern F1 cars in the hybrid era, so he was able to bring that expertise, and he was obviously the ambassador for Williams as well. So I think just having that knowledge of someone who's been there, done that as well, can help bring the broadcast to life. Same with Nico Rosberg as well, when he was filling in for it as well. So, you don't really need to know much to start with, but as long as you're prepared to know about a sport and educate your viewers, I think that's the best bet. And I think having a co-commentator that knows about the sport and has been there, done that, even if it's not F1, it could be like GT racing or W series, like Naomi Schiff's example as well. She was absolutely brilliant in her first year. She was fantastic. She did get a bit of backlash from some haters on social media, but everyone does. But the way that she adapted it straight in and was able to wanted to learn a bit more about the sport, and she was able to apply her knowledge, what she learned in W series racing, into F1, and she fitted right in. And I think she did. I think she's done a brilliant job, and I would like to see more of her as well. And with that type of stuff, and I can see she does more, because she was doing the Mercedes launch with Natalie Pinkham as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I thought she was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, both of them were. So if you want to be a commentator, you don't have to know the knowledge straight away, because otherwise we won't get as much commentators now. But as long as you're prepared to know from other people and prepared to put in the time and effort in, then you'll be a good commentator, in my opinion.
And what do you prefer? Do you prefer being a lead commentator or a colour commentator?
That's tough, because it does depend on the person you're with, because as a commentator, you have to learn to adapt your style to whoever you're commentating with, because otherwise it sounds very weird. Because there's sometimes that I prefer lead, and there's sometimes where I prefer colour commentator. But most of the time I do lead, because obviously I stream. It's not like ACC or iRacing when someone else does the streaming for you, so you can concentrate on that. With ACC and iRacing, I prefer the co-commentator, because I'm not that confident in that area to be like, oh, let's be lead. But I'm all right to be a co-commentator and able to bounce with each other. But with F1, I like a bit of both. There's some bits of lead commentator that I'm stronger at than being the co-commentator, but there's quite a lot of analytical stuff for co-com that I'm much better with the lead commentator. I'm still rubbish at sometimes at doing starts. I don't know why. I always tend to get my words wrong all the time, and every time I watch back, I'm like, oh, I did that start awfully. Or there was one time where I muted my mic at the start, and my co-com thought my co-com thought that his Discord went or something like that. But no, it was muted. But luckily, I only noticed it was around Austria. It was a sprint race, because F1 introduced the sprint race to the game, which was really good. Luckily I noticed as we were heading around turn 3, and I was like, oh, sorry, this person has had a good start. But yeah, I'm rubbish at doing the starts for some weird reason. But
have you got a signature? Have you got a signature intro?
I always tend to copy David Croft's "Lights Out and the Way We Go," but I'm trying to embed something else. So it's like, it's go, 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 or something. It's and we're underway here at Belgium or Austria or something like that. So I always try to do something different, but then some instinctively, without thinking, I end up saying Crofty signature line, which gets a bit annoying after a while. But I don't want to spend like 5 seconds thinking about what to say at the start when the start's already happened. So you have to take what comes to mind. But yeah, still working on the start, how to commentate on the start. But it gets better with practice, really, as well. So.
So have you any ambitions to take this anywhere? Can you see yourself doing this as a full-time job eventually? Have you looked into, like Alex Goldschmidt obviously does a lot of karting commentary, so he's able to do it full-time, or touring cars or club racing. Have you looked into doing any real-world commentary to take this full-time?
I think every commentator's dream is to do it full-time and permanently, because it's something that I'm passionate about, and every evening when I commentate, if I do commentate, it's just something that I want to keep doing again and again and again, but obviously not do too much because I get burned out and stuff. But one of the things I want to do is commentate on F1 Esports, the Pro Series. That will just be my dream, if not interview any of the drivers or something like that in on camera and stuff like that. That would be amazing. It does take time. It will take time to get to that goal if I do achieve that goal, but that'll be something I definitely want to do, because we saw George Morgan achieve that goal. So so he kind of inspired me. I want to reach that goal, but I know it will take time to reach it. But in terms of real life stuff, it's kind of hard because I live in a certain part of the country where it's too far to get to anywhere. I always have to stay at a hotel in the night time if I want to commentate in real life, or go and see friends and kart somewhere. And yeah, I would like to do it, but if I want to commentate on karting or something like that, I've got to find some time. Obviously, stay the night before, commentate on the day, then stay the night after. So you already need to book like 3 days off work just to commentate on karting. But I would like to commentate on some karting. It's just the nearest one's at Thruxton, and that's about 3 hours away from me, which is quite a while away. There's no circuits that have commentators which are within my radius, unfortunately. You have the indoor circuits, but it's not the same thing, really. And it's obviously, if I have the chance to do it full time, I would. But it's just obviously the commuting cost would be, I think, a bit too much. But yeah, I think my main goal will definitely be F1 esports commentator or interviewer or host or whatever. That will be something I really want to do, and that can branch my career even further. So.
You must have been watching the ESL R1 series with interest then, because this feels like the first time that sim racing has taken a stage of that size, where if other series follow suit, there's going to be more and more opportunities to do large-scale commentary gigs like that.
ESL F1 was R1, so I can't. Well, I will be talking about F1. It's that was absolutely brilliant with how the production was organised as well. The fact that they got commentators who have breathed the commentary scene for a long time. It's just good. I think they got 2 well-known commentators. One from the likes of iRacing and ATC, and then you got one from F1 as well. And that would bring, I think, everybody from the F1 side, from the iRacing side, from ATC side to a sim which is pretty much only exclusive at the moment. And I think that's very, very good that literally a new sim can pretty much have that high profile. I think early on, it's just, I like that sense of community in the chats as well, saying, I've seen on Twitter and on the Twitch chat some general positivity about ESL R1 with how it's delivered and stuff. And obviously the host as well, especially Luke Crane, was fantastic as well. It was well put together. I liked the format as well. There were times where it was a bit too long, but they did put the highlights out recently for ones who didn't want to watch it live but want to watch it in their own time and stuff. But there were times where it was a bit too long, but it's understandable. It's a big LAN event. There are LAN events like League of Legends or something, or CSGO, which last for a long time, so it's understandable. But yeah, it's just nice that it can be done, that we are starting to get LAN events again. I do hope F1 esports go back to LAN, because I watched the first F1 esports. I remember the finals were in Abu Dhabi in the F1 weekend, and they had a big crowd and stuff, and that was so cool. And I just wish we went back to that. And then I was at the Gfinity Arena as well. I remember helping doing the cameras at one event, and then there was one event where I was in the audience as well, and watching it live as it was happening, and seeing the drivers basically loving the pressure of LAN events, or people absolutely hating it. And we get to see what they're thinking in the moment as well. And sometimes you get to hear some people be like, "Oh, and they have a swear word in there." I was like, "Oh, I made a mistake." And it's it's just I kind of wish more sims do it, because I think Rensport has definitely set a benchmark, I think, for many LAN events to come in the future. So I really do hope we get to see more from other sims like ACC and iRacing again, and F1 as well.
How do you go about getting yourself in front of these events? Like, how do you reach out to this sort of event and say, like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm a commentator. I love what you're doing. I'd like to get involved"? Do you actively reach out and try and get involved in events, or do you wait for people to kind of spot you or find you or recommend you?
Well, I think the crucial part of applying for certain commentary roles and certain events and stuff, you don't wait for an opportunity to come at you, because there's 9 times out of 10 that you may not get noticed in a way. So I think the main important thing is sending a show reel of your main stuff, your most recent stuff, to certain companies and certain people that might be interested in you. Like a few years ago, I sent it to SimGrid and a few karting circuits. I didn't hear from any karting circuits, by the way, but it was just getting my name out there, that even though it might have been a no then, it might be a yes later on down the line. So even though there may be some people that might have seen your stuff and saying, "Oh, would you like to commentate at this event?" I think it's important to get yourself out there, apply for this certain opportunity, email them, even though they don't publicize it. Email them saying that you're interested in maybe commentating in real life, or helping out at a certain event, and see what they do, really. But I think that's why league racing is just so powerful, getting that experience, because back in the day, with the likes of Jack Nichols, who started, I think, in supermarkets, doing some radio stuff in there. It was harder to get a break into commentary without doing like journalism, or having a specific contact already and applying for this stuff. But with league racing, I think more people are starting to get recognised for these events, like George Morgan, like Lewis, like all these other amazing people, and it's about getting that experience from early on. You start with those smaller leagues as well. I started at the deep end that I shouldn't have done. If I was to turn back time and do commentary, I'll be like, hey, I will start with the smaller league and have less pressure. But yeah, most people start with smaller leagues, then they go to the bigger leagues once they get more exposure, and then by then hopefully they would have the complete package, and then they would hopefully go on to do like the top tier, like PSGL or WOR or something like that. And then you get to a point where George's, where you can get to commentate on F1 esports, because of the platform you've built in league racing as well. So it's about finding those opportunities and not waiting for them. But you do get some opportunities just by the work that you're doing as a commentator already.
So what have you coming up? What's on the horizon? Have you got anything big to announce this year, or any series in particular that you're focusing on?
I kind of wish I had some big announcements. That will be good. But like you were saying at the beginning of the podcast, we've got season 33 of PSGL starting very, very soon. By the time that this goes out, the placements would have been announced, and on the next day I'll be commentating on the first round of the season, which is around Spain. So that's very, very exciting. I'm commentating on VSL at the moment, which is on Wednesdays. They're still doing their season at the moment. Nothing much else really in terms of that. I still do the regular league races every week at the moment, and with the league that I own, One Hub Racing, we're starting to put some plans in motion about future seasons as well coming up. So nothing that big to announce, unfortunately. I wish I did.
So we've spoken a lot about your commentary role, but what's it like running One Hub Racing? How is that? Because it's quite a big community, right?
Yeah, I can't even count how many drivers that we have racing there. But it's been I think we recently, I think a few seasons ago, we had our 20th anniversary, and we've just finished our 22nd season, and I think it was my first season being an owner or co-owner of a league, because I did get approached by the two of the league owners who wanted me to join them to co-own the league, because there was one person that was busy with his job, and he wanted to not really step aside, but just have some extra bodies in the way as well. And I think after that, this season, I have the biggest respect for any person that owns a league, because it's harder than I thought, because there may be sometimes where there's hardly any attendance in a race, and you got to figure out, why is this, or something like that. But 9 times out of 10, it's people lost motivation in a game. And there's also sometimes, I think there was one incident in the middle of January where we had to deal with a cheater. We had to ban them as well, which was quite difficult because we respected that person, and we can't just rest on our laurels. We got to think of new ideas every season, and it's just harder than it is, because you've got to balance your roles as a driver as well, not have any impartial biases, have any biases towards other people, because otherwise it will look you as a bad owner as well. And you got to think, why is this not working, and what you could do to improve as a league to get these ideas. Because some leagues that always do the same thing every season, and they always think, why do we not getting any drivers? And that's because they're not taking forward on what the drivers want to see in the future, or have any new ideas. So we always try to introduce something new for every season to try and get those viewership. And you always get certain drivers that do not follow the rules, and certain people that are not enjoying their roles anymore. It was a very, very challenging, but a lot of fun as well, because you get to see your ideas come to life, and you get to see all your hard work paying off, and you get to help develop something which a lot of people enjoy, and race for fun as well. And we always try to listen to drivers about what they think about certain things, and improve it for future seasons to come, to make them want to come back to race with us as well. And it's something I never thought I would do, because I thought I'm just a commentator and a league racer. But it's again, after the end of today, well, at the end of this season, I do have a biggest respect for league owners, because it's hard.
So Jess, thank you very much for joining us today. It's been really, really interesting hearing about your commentary roles, how you tackle that, how you managed to build One Hub Racing, and good luck with season 33 of PSGL. If people want to find you or want to get hold of your show reels, or find you on social media, where should they go?
Well, my main platform is on YouTube, so you can go youtube.com/JessGames95. My Twitter has the same handle, and so does my Instagram. So, you can check those three platforms out if you want to find out a bit more about me as well. And you can check me out mainly on PSGL's YouTube channel every Monday night at 8 p.m.
Great. Well, I am going to be tuning in because I actually really like PSGL and WOR. Their race is so much fun. There's so much energy in the commentary, so I'm looking forward to watching along. But Jess, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to chat to us. And I'll see you during your next commentary gig.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Wow, how do we get to be advisors or testers for an F1 game? That would be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that was very cool to hear about. It was cool to hear how much insight Jessica got as the game was coming to release. But then interesting how much they took on board what she was saying. And it's interesting to see that the F1 game is really reaching out to the community, grassroots level sim racers to get feedback. Because you kind of assume that it would be this closed group of game testers, those people that you hear about who are literally professional game testers, and you're like, that's not a real thing. Those jobs don't really exist. You just assume that it's people who test all sorts of games all the time and don't necessarily know the ins and outs or get into the weeds of the league racing side of a game like F1. So that was very cool to hear. It was also incredibly inspiring to hear just how passionate she was about everything she was saying. She just went. You could tell she was a commentator because you'd ask a question and she was just off because she had so much to say, so many opinions on everything, which was awesome. So yeah, her passion and enthusiasm for sim racing and league racing and F1 was pretty infectious.
Yeah, well, I hope you all enjoyed listening or watching, whichever you chose. But this episode is sponsored, of course, by Track Racer. Once again, we appreciate their sponsorship throughout the growth of this podcast. And of course, Grid Finder. If you're looking for a sim racing league to race in, if you're a driver, go over to Grid Finder. We have thousands of leagues in all the different sims for you to join up and find that perfect league, that perfect night for you. Or if you're one of the league owners out there that needs to recruit some drivers to fill your grids, go list yourself on Grid Finder. We're just on the cusp of releasing a brand new version with a lot of great new features for you leagues. So keep an eye out on that. Otherwise, anything to say, Tom? Any final words?
Final words. I tell you what, we've got some amazing guests coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yes, we do.
The next couple of months, big, exciting guests. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever your platform of choice is, and we will be back next Sunday for another episode of Sim Sundays. Thanks.
Bye.